for Monday, or the work session for Monday, December 2nd. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Scaringi is out on military assignment. Councilman Livingston.
Present.
Councilwoman Krantz let me know that she couldn't make it tonight. Councilman Taylor.
Present.
Councilman Papstra.
Present.
Councilman Monso.
Present.
President Scanlon.
Present.
That's 5 here with 2 absent, Krantz and Scaringi.
All right, we'll start with let's start with Chief Eggleston, since you're sitting here, Chief. We chat here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just has to do with a renewal of a clinical affiliation agreement with Lourdes Hospital, the paramedic program, through the paramedics who are driving the ambulance.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, this has been going on for a while, Chief, this particular program?
Yes.
And this is for students of what? The
Paramedic program. The majority of them that are riding it usually end up being Binghamton firefighters who are becoming paramedics.
Oh, okay.
Other questions?
They're a great program. Since 06, it looks like.
So why does this agreement need to be in place in order to run this program?
Attorneys got together at one time.
Liability issues, who's responsible when they're in the vehicles, things like that.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Let's go to Mr. Paddock now, since he's sitting here back on the road.
Yeah.
John, I told John I'd cover for him so he can understanding what we do here.
Oh, sure, okay. Fine.
So after this weekend, we ran out of snow, or sand.
Ran out of snow.
Salt.
All right, but
That's it.
so in the process of looking at this, I came up with about $47,000 worth of money that was extra that I know we're going to need between now and the end of the year. The original part of this was so they could go out and buy more salt. So what we're doing here is we're moving $34,977.17 out of the engineering department, assistant engineer that's been vacant most of the year. We're moving money out of travel and training. That's out of the DPW department. Code enforcement temporary labor, we're moving $500 out of that. Code enforcement overtime, we're moving $1,500. And code enforcement personal services, $7,922.83, which was for a code office enforcement officer. For a total of $47,500. We're moving that into engineering overtime is going to need $3,500 by the end of the year. Combined shops, those are the people that fix the lights and the intersections as well as the street lights. They're going to need about $3,000 it looks like. Combined shops electricity for the lights, the traffic lights, $7,000. We're moving $24,000 into the salt line and another $10,000 into the snow salary line. So like yesterday when people came in and worked, that's how their time gets booked. The time that they work today from say 6:30 to 2:30, that's regular time. Any overtime would go to the snow overtime line.
So it's the snow salary, so it's still overtime, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's still overtime, yes.
Yep, thank you.
Do you need this expedited?
Yes.
Questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Mr. Paddock. That was quick.
Yes, it was,
Sorry, back to work, will you?
John, it's not always this painless. Just so you know, don't worry.
I got these other ones I told people I would do it. Okay. Snow not making it. We start off with Charlie Pearsall at the Joint Sewage Treatment Plant.
Yep.
They're over budgeted by about $25,000 or $30,000 on their health insurance line, but they're partially self-insured where they have an HRA plan and they pay that as people use it. at the end of the year, a lot of times there's a refund coming back to them, okay? So they're estimating that they only need $10,000 moved. I think that's reasonable, okay? I'm not sure exactly where they were taking the money from. I think it's at the,
Sorry, could you just repeat why they need it for their health insurance line?
they're over budget on their health insurance line, and they have a premium-based insurance policy, and then they have a HRA plan. So they pay, and I'm telling you not the right number, but I'll give you a ballpark. They pay $5,000 worth of the claims for each individual up front. Okay, the employee may pay like $600. Okay, and then the plant pays $5,000. Okay, so what we don't use, we pay that out like in quarterly installments. If it's not used at the end of the year, it comes back. Okay, so they're anticipating a large chunk of money coming back. I think 2 years ago it was like $60,000. So right now their line's over budgeted, but when Charlie did his analysis, he believes they're going to need $10,000.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Chuck, you handling Margaret's too?
I'm handling Margaret's too, yes.
Okay.
In her budget, she has a real property aide and a data management person. And they've been trying to fill both of those positions now for a while. They've been unsuccessful in finding a data management person due to the requirements that says this person has to have so many years' experience in an assessor's office. Okay? So what Margaret's talked to Trish about is bringing in 2 aides, with hopefully one of them getting the experience and the interest in going into the data management position. And she has somebody eligible to hire for that second position.
What's the annual salary? We're
It's
amending the
good.
budget, I need a new annual salary.
Is it in there?
Is it there?
It's like $3,000.
No, that's what's being transferred to cover through the end of the year.
Okay, so you want.
But in the budget, I need is there an existing real property aid?
Yes. there is.
Okay, so if I can grab a
Looks
budget
like
somewhere.
3,900.
No, that's what's being transferred. Can I borrow the budget for a second? I'll fill it in, but we have to put in an annual salary.
How many years' experience do they need in order to become
I
a...
think it's 2 years to be the management data person.
Okay, and are either of these 2 people
No.
closer than the other? Okay. And is
I
there...
believe there's one of them is a graduating student girl that would have an interest in getting that progression.
And aside from 2 years' experience, do they need to have certain trainings under their belt? in
They'll
order-
get it all through the assessor's office.
Okay, then they're budgeted for that. Okay.
Other questions or comments? All right, Chuck, you got one more for yourself on the end. 232.
Last year when we did the 2019 budget, I anticipated that we would be not going to bonds on some of the sewer projects this year. We ended up doing a large bond, which now requires an EFC payment, okay? Earlier this year, I think it was in like July, we moved money around from the band interest and principal payments to the bond principal and interest payments. I forgot to do the admin fees at that time. And this is moving money from one of the, I think it's the band interest to this administration fee that goes along with paying the note. I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it was like 34,000 or 24,000.
You got 34,762 in there.
72.
72.
So we're decreasing our interest payment for this?
We're decreasing, well, we've saved interest and principal on this payment, going to the bond for this year, okay? But I have to pay this administration fee that I forgot about.
Questions or comments on this? Thanks, Chuck.
I've got, there's nothing on the agenda, but I've got a couple of things.
Sure.
Here, hey, everyone got a copy of the emails from Amelia regarding fines of the 2 properties?
Yep.
I've got copies here, so I think that should answer any of the outstanding questions. Randy Tokus, and I actually talked to David Kipper. I think there was some confusion about whether they needed it or whether they didn't. We got to the bottom of it.
I got to the bottom. I talked
Okay.
to them both too.
Perfect. So
Yep.
I think that was held over, so it will be on the agenda Wednesday. Okay. And then the other thing is, not for tonight, we can have them on the agenda for tomorrow, but because we have.
Wednesday?
What's that?
You said
Oh,
the
excuse
agenda
me,
for
yeah,
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Okay.
Which Ken can explain, because the last meeting of the year, really, we're gonna try to get what we can pass because of signing out issues with so many new council members and everything. I wanna make sure you had this tonight, but it's not on the agenda, not to be voted on for Wednesday. One of them is an agreement with Verizon Wireless. At last work session, we talked about a right-of-way development agreement, or excuse me, a small cell way that it moves through the planning process. This is the actual right-of-way agreement with Verizon. Same thing we talked about before. So this is sort of the master agreement that's based on one with a previous company that City Council's already approved of. So we just used that language, made a couple tweaks.
You're talking about the one that we approved earlier this year?
Was it Extenet? Mobilite?
Mobilite.
Mobilite, okay. Yeah, so we used
Which
that.
was based on extra.
Right, that's right.
So that, it's basically a slight change from there, some language that Ken and Verizon worked out. So that's sort of the agreement side. We fixed the planning side, and this is to assist with 2020 development of small cells. And then we also have two transfers from CDBG into the fiscal year 45. One of them is to facilitate the final amount of money going to the Northside grocery store with Chow, and to a capital funding to couple with the money that was budgeted previously. And then another one is to fund a youth program with Cornell Cooperative Extension. Like I said, read these over. I'll be at the next work session, but wanted to get them.
Are you letting us know now because you want to expedite it at the work session?
Yes, that's correct. Yep, because everything really needs
Pretty
to be
much
voted
everything
on.
that comes to you at that next work session, so we're gonna ask people to get them to you in advance. You wanna vote on that Wednesday, because then
So nothing carries over.
there's nobody to sign out anything to the January meeting. If there's something that comes up, we're gonna ask the new council, on January 2nd, you're gonna get a call from the clerk's office to say, are you familiar with this? Can you sponsor it? Because without the proper names, it can't get to the floor. And we'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Is there anything besides those three pieces of legislation?
Not that I have right now. I would imagine that the human service budgets for fiscal year 45 will go down at the next meeting. Try to get that to everyone with advance notice as possible. Short week last week. It delayed us a couple days, but I think we have until December 16th, so we'll do plenty of advance notice
Do you
on that as well.
anticipate any more transfers by the end of the year?
Probably, Chris. I'm gonna guess. I know there's another fire one. Not sure where the money's coming from yet.
Another fire one?
Overtime?
So this is something we're gonna have to vote on the 18th of December.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get copies of these as they come in? Is that what I heard?
Well, as soon as we get them signed, we'll get them to the clerk's office. In the process of these things, we do have hiccups where court counsel needs an answer, finance needs an answer, mayor has a question, that type of thing. So we'll work as, for these examples, right now, try to get them to you now, provide as much notice as possible. I mean, I think that, again, the big one that's on my plate right now is regarding human services. I can't think of anything else that's major, but
This Verizon agreement, is it different in any substantive way from the Xtel and whatever the other Mobilite?
No, the only thing that really changed about it is the process for permitting. That's incorporated because we changed that process.
Why are we doing this today?
what do you mean?
It's just not ready yet?
No, I mean, if city council would like to sign these out and vote on Wednesday, they could do that, but I just wanted to, Ken hadn't signed them yet, so I wanted to give them to Lee in anticipation of the next meeting to be expedited prior to December 18th. if it was the same council, we could let
Right,
things
I
go over
see.
to the first of the year, yeah. It is a coincidence, basically.
Other questions or comments? All right, they tell us about pending legislation, please.
Tom, I
Go
got
ahead.
one more thing there. You got the one there.
Is this the EFC? You need that one?
The James.
Okay.
When I talked to you last work session, I told you that we're gonna do 2 RLs. Ken was in here this afternoon. We had to modify that. When we had Jacobs here, we talked about 2 RLs. One that was an extension of time, and the other was an extension of money. The first RL that was sent to you last week, or the last work session, was the extension from August 31st to November 30th, okay? This RL that they also talked about was a $1.9 million supplemental agreement that extends through 12/31/2021. And Ken's got that RL here. Nothing's changed from what we discussed.
What's their full name? Jacobs Management Company. Right. I'm just writing it, I'll correct it. It's Jacobs Management.
It's Jacobs Engineering LLC.
No, that's not the.
Chris.
See if you have the existing RL. Yeah, I can put up the legislation. Hey, Tom.
Can you kind of tell us what's happening right now?
Chuck brought up an RL from Jacobs Engineering to do with regarding the sewage treatment plant. That we have to sign for the money now. We signed for the extension, no, right? Am I saying it
Yes.
right? So now we're gonna sign an RL for the money so they can extend their contract.
But it's not on the agenda though.
No, Chuck mentioned it, it's not on the agenda.
So do you have to vote to approve it, or to amend the agenda, or no?
No.
No. Okay.
This was on the agenda,
Before.
yes.
We talked about it last time, but we didn't.
It was at the owners' meeting that we discussed this last, the joint owners meeting.
Yes, it was on the 18th,
Yeah.
I think it was.
And there are 2 pieces of legislation. One of them was to basically pay Jacobs for the work that they've already done. And this one is to extend their contract in time and also by $1.9 million.
What is it?
Jacobs Project Management. Jacobs Management.
And just for me, so follow-up can come during the meeting, even if it wasn't on the agenda?
Doesn't happen always.
Okay, just so I can understand, because
Yeah.
we're like, what's happening back
It
here?
doesn't happen often.
Okay,
The work sessions are a lot less full.
okay,
That wouldn't happen at a business meeting, you would
okay,
have to amend the agenda to bring something on.
perfect. Because we're trying to piece it together back here.
Big difference. It is a lot different sitting back there and not really getting into the meat
And
of it.
hearing some of it, so.
We went through the same thing when we were councilman elect. We did, and we know what it was like. Wondering what are they doing, you know? You catch on, fans. Yeah, we do. I still wonder what I'm doing half the time.
Here, and I got it. The other person since it's been this.
Survivor. So, are we waiting on something at this point?
No.
Motion to adjourn?
Well,
Oh,
look
no,
at
we're
the
gonna go
pending
for pending
legislation. If
Yeah.
you want to bring up now,
Sure.
just my staff, if you would, and then we can.
Okay. And then, I did want to bring up, Lori brought down the proposed calendar for 2020. I'm actually not positive when we have to approve that. I think it's at the organization.
Usually at the organizational meeting, and so it really should be.
It would be the new council.
Right.
Give the new council that copy.
Wanted to bring it up in front of all of you before we bring it in, and I can send an electronic copy here.
So Lori sets it up to minimize our security costs, to try to have DDA planning and, you know, CDAC meetings go. So we have one security guard hired by Broom Security, so they can provide coverage for a multitude of meetings that may be happening upstairs or at the same time. So we don't have, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, different.
For any after hours, we hire Broom Security to do the work, so it's an expense. So fewer nights we hire, the less we pay.
Anything else?
That's the pending ledge.
Any questions on the pending legislation? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.